What is going on, everyone, and welcome to another exciting tutorial. Alright, so in this one we're going to be going over how to change the background of a person, or move a person to a different background, do a sky replacement, all sorts of cool stuff. So in the assignment lesson, you'll see right here that in this assignment you're going to learn how to select the subject, how to use the sky replacement, how to use shadows using the blending options and distort tool, how to work with multiple images, and then how to color match or use color matching techniques. I have provided you with 2 images that you will need to download, and then I will explain to you in this video how you export those images. So the files that you need are right here, so you can go ahead and click on that. That's going to take you over to Google Drive. Now what you're going to need to do here is make sure that you click right here where it says lesson 3. It's going to tell you to downloads. Just make sure you click there, download, and then the file should start downloading. Depending if you're using Microsoft Edge or if you're using Google Chrome, you might see a download pop up here, or you might see a pop up down here at the bottom. Alright, so now that that's downloaded, we're going to go ahead and open that. Now for me, it opens a little bit different. So I'm actually going to see if I can open this. I've done it. Mine, it opens here. But I'm going to try and see if I can do this the way that you guys normally see it. Perfect. All right. So for you all, when you double click, you're just going to see this, right? So with File Explorer, you're going to see something that looks like that. So you need to make sure that you double click on the actual file. If you double click on the file, then you'll get access to this one right here. And you can just go ahead and drag this over into your documents. Once this is over in your documents, you can just go ahead and look for lesson 3 and you will see files used. These are the 2 pictures that we're going to be using, and we'll need to go ahead and import those files into Photoshop. So I'm gonna go ahead and open up Photoshop. The way that you're gonna do this is it's important that you do the correct order. If you don't do the correct order, then you'll get your sizing incorrect. But I have the images here, and this is gonna be the background image that we're working with. So we're gonna go ahead and just click and drag that image in here, and that's gonna give us the dimension. We're working with these particular dimensions for this image, so we want this right here. Now the other thing that we need to do is go ahead and click on this one and drag this one. Now when we drag this one, we don't want to drag it here. No. We want to drag it up here in this gray area. This will make sure that it opens in a new tab, right? So this is where the cool stuff comes in. So you all are working with this, and it's the first time that you guys are probably dealing with this kind of stuff. And Photoshop has done an amazing job at making this so much easier, because before this was a weeks-long tutorial that's now done in like maybe a couple of minutes. So selection tool, marquee tool, polygon lasso tool, and then quick selection tool. So quick selection tool used to be a tool where you would come in here and you click and drag and you try to select the subject as best as you can, right? And although this works and it does the job, it can be and so forth, right? Now you've got an awesome button that's right here that says select subject, and Photoshop will determine what the subject is on its own and then grab that from the background. So select subject, and bam, you're going to notice an almost perfect selection. Now one of the parts that it did kind of mess up on a little bit is right here on her dress. You notice that that yellow part didn't really get selected. So as long as you have this selected and this is on the plus right here up top, you can just click and drag and it'll select that part that's missing. Now from here we can go over to select and mask, and it'll send us into this mode. By the way, if you don't see it in black and white and you see it in a different color, you can always just go up here and change it. So I have it set to this black and white because I'm paying attention to this part right here. Let me see if I can zoom in by using Control Plus. And then my space bar to kind of move around. This is what I'm paying attention to, the hair area. I want to make sure that it gets a nice, good selection of the hair. And it looks like it did a pretty good job overall. So we are going to go ahead and be okay with that selection. Just go down here to the bottom under output selection. We're going to put new layer with a layer mask. Now, I haven't covered what layer masks are, and I can give you a general um, idea of what they do, but we'll go more in depth into layer masks later on. So for now, all you need to know is that the layer masks um, removes the background, but it doesn't make it permanent. So you can go back and tweak things if needed. That's about as good as an explanation as you'll get for this tutorial, right? So using Control plus, you can zoom in, Control minus, you can zoom out, and then we can now grab our selection tool right here and click on her and then move her around. So we're gonna move. Now in this part, you need to make sure that you click, hold, up, hold, down, and then let go. Bam. That's how you do the movement. Now she is obviously extremely huge here, and we need to make her a little bit smaller. So you can do that by clicking on the show transform tools and just kind of drag from these corners, just move her down. Now we want to get like a pretty decent size. Unfortunately, she is going to look a little bit smaller here, but that is pretty much good right around there. So we'll go ahead and click OK and OK that image. Now, one of the things that does bother me is this line right here. And also, this is very important. You might notice that there's these lines right here, and we need to remove those lines. It's like very unnoticeable, but those lines are created by this like black box that we have here, right? Now, again, layer masks, we'll go into detail a little bit more later on, but for now, you can select a brush right here. Click on this little area right here where you see the black and white, and make sure you have a black brush. Then click on this layer right here, which is the layer mask for the layer of the girl, of the model. And we'll go ahead and click on the black and white area. You can right click and put your size slightly big. Make sure your hardness is set to 100. And then you can just come and color in these edges. Again, make sure that you're in this layer while you do that. Just kind of color around the edges here so you can get rid of those black lines. All right, perfect. That looks like a pretty good selection there. Now, the other thing that bothers me is this little line right here that's black, like if a car kind of peeled out in that area. So we're going to select the background. We're going to come here and just grab the lasso tool, this lasso tool right here. Now with the lasso tool, it's kind of like freehand drawing, so you just got to do as best as you can to kind of draw a little shape around that. And you're going to right click and put fill, content aware fill. That's going to tell you like, hey, it's going to give you like green stuff. Like, hey, is this kind of what you want? You can see the preview here. That looks pretty good. And then just click OK. And it'll create a new layer where that's there. So now you can actually go to select and put deselect or press Control D. That'll deselect your selection that you have there. And now you have a better looking street. So all you want to do is right click and merge this down. Merge down so you can merge to that image, and now you have that line completely removed. All right, cool. So now that we kind of have that, we want to also change the sky a little bit, and we'll work with everything else later on. But next up, we want to work with this sky. So we can go to edit, and now we have this super cool sky replacement tool. I love this tool, guys. I've used it in so many of my photographs ever since it was released. So you can go ahead and click sky replacement. And you can go here and then just select the sky that you want to put. So you can click in here. You have some blue skies, some spectacular, some sunsets. You know, whatever you want that you feel works well with the image that you're currently using, and you can replace it as simple as, you know, clicking right here. It's like this one looks pretty cool right here. I kind of like it. Let's see what that looks like if I kind of zoom out a little bit. Yeah, see, so that looks super cool. And the cool thing about it is that you notice most of the cool area of the sky is right here, and then there's a lot of blue up on top, which is what you're seeing, right? You can actually move this around, sort of like that. And then you can actually make this, let me see where it's at, scale it up to make it bigger, and then just show a little bit more of that sky. Something like that. See, so that looks pretty cool as a sky right there. But I'm gonna go with the one I originally had under spectacular, and I believe it was this one. And I kind of like that. And it's also gonna work a little bit towards us because we want to go with this kind of where I show you these other techniques, right? So the sun's kind of like peeking out a little bit through there. Don't know if I want to include it because you can see other mountains in the background, so I'll just kind of go with that a little bit. And that looks pretty cool. You can mess around with all this here if you want to adjust this or copy my settings that I have here, but this essentially gives you like the glowy edges and stuff. That looks pretty cool. I'm kind of liking that. So that's what the sky replacement tool has done. So we can go ahead and close this folder. We're not going to use that for now. But in order to change the color of everything that's here to kind of match this sky, we need to turn this into a layer mask. Remember we were talking about that earlier? So this button here, add a layer mask. That allows us to do that. And we can now create a layer mask here. So we can now go into filters. And this is also new, guys. It's awesome. Make sure you have this layer selected, the layer with the picture, and go into Neural Filters. Now, some of you might need to download this. Hopefully it works for the majority of you. Here, and you need to select that and then turn it on. And for some of you, you might see the little download thing and you can just click to download. Now, when you have it downloaded and you turn it on, it's going to tell you which image do you want to reference to kind of copy these colors from, right? You're going to put, I want to copy the sky. So now the image is going to get a little bit darker, or a lot darker actually, to try to match this like sky color. And now it's like going in there and blending in a little bit more. But we're going to actually lower this a little bit so it's not as strong. Somewhere around there. And then go ahead and bring the brightness up just a little bit, because we don't want it to be extremely dark. Let's go. Actually, we're going to bring the brightness up a lot. So that looks a little bit better. But now she's way too bright, right? It doesn't make sense anymore. So we're going to click OK here. And now we're going to select her. Actually, for now, we can actually just kind of blend these layers together. So I'm going to select both of them, right? And then merge these layers, or merge layers. There we go. Perfect. So now we're going to select her, right? Make sure you have this part selected and not the layer mask, this section right here. And we're going to go ahead and do the same thing. So filter and go to harmonize, turn it on. But now we're actually going to select the background layer, this one right here. We're going to click. So there we go. And now you notice that she got a lot darker because it's trying to blend in with this colors right here. So we're actually going to make her go all the way a lot brighter. Maybe drop it to around 25. But the amount of strength, we're going to drop that down to like 17. And just kind of play slowly until she kind of starts to match. There we go. That looks a little bit better in color. So around 31. We want to add a little bit of reds. Bring in some yellows. That looks kind of cool. I like that. And then we can press OK. So this is starting to blend in a lot more, right? Now, here we have two copies, the before and the after, right? So what I want to do here is I want to make a copy of this one. I'm going to duplicate. I can name it, just leave it as layer copy. Now for this particular one, this is going to be our shadow. And this is how we work with shadow. At least this is how I work with shadow. There's many different ways you can do this. But we're going to right click and go to our blending options. Remember we used blending options in the last tutorial so we can add drop shadows to our images. Well, in this one, we're actually going to be using blending options so that we can color the layer. So an overlay right here, color overlay. And when we click that and color it, we can choose a specific color that we want. We're going to do black. Press OK and press OK. So now we have this black overlay over the image. And we can go to Edit, Transform, and we're going to distort the layer now. This allows us to, like, instead of just resizing, it allows us to kind of mess around with this in like these crazy ways, right? And so what we're going to do is we're going to bring this down. Let's just start kind of like creating this like shadowy effect. I'm gonna make sure that these are touching with her toes a little bit. I can control minus to zoom out. And so all I'm doing here is I'm stretching this out in a way that kind of looks like it might be a shadow, right? Something like that. That looks pretty cool. I'll put okay there. And then just lower the opacity. So for the opacity, you can just click here and then drop that down. That looks kind of cool. And so now we get our, by pressing on the eyeballs, right, we can kind of remove everything we've done. So pressing on the eyeballs, we have our before, sky replacement with the color combination, right? And then the girl more color toned to the image, and then a cool drop shadow. Now if you wanted to, this is not at all required, but if you wanted to, you can select the crop tool and then just kind of crop this down a little bit so we can get a little bit more of her. Press OK. Well, it looks like we got a little bit of a mistake here. We've got some colors here that we need to remove. Make sure you select this, grab the black brush to hide that out. There we go. A little bit more zoomed into her if you wanted to do something like that. And now what you got to do is file, save. Make sure you save to your Creative Cloud. This is going to be lesson 03 background replacement. Save. And then you have to save it as a JPEG to turn it into me. So file, save a copy, save to computer, and you can save it into your Creative Cloud documents right here. And then lesson 3 color replacement, and just put JPEG and then save and OK. And that is the end of this tutorial. Hopefully this one wasn't as complicated. It isn't that long, but if you have any questions, feel free to ask me, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.